Hey guys, hope you and your families are doing well. Jack Corsellis here. Welcome to the weekly video where I take you through stocks on the IBD 50 list that I think are displaying constructive basing action, cup and handles, VCPs, flags, Darvis boxes, all of that good stuff. Tick many of the CANSLIM boxes and also showing impressive relative strength. There's 7 that I'm going to be showing you, starting with Celsius. Going to be showing you them on the Market Smith charts. They're today's video sponsor. If you're interested in a discounted trial, there is a comment below this video in the comments. With all that being said, let's get into it with Celsius. I'm very cognizant that non-alcoholic beverage space has provided some very big winners in the past, most recently being Monster Beverage, Celsius itself, you could include that, and then several decades ago you could also think about Coca-Cola. So Celsius on the daily chart, potential cup and handle forming, seeing this on the weekly chart and the monthly chart, both potential cup and handles forming. Now as we head into the week, we are hearing from the FOMC on the 14th of December. That's likely to create a lot of volatility, so myself, I'm actually controlling exposure going into that. So many of these stocks I'll actually be seeing if they can tighten up, get nice and tight, pivot points coming through, those trigger bars that I talk about in other videos, and then more so looking to target them after the FMC is out of the way, as I'm expecting a lot of volatility going into that. In the last 2 times, 21st of Sep and also 2nd of November, we've actually seen the market selling off and then further weakness as well. So very cognizant of that. So stocks I'm talking about in this video, more so for me looking to target them after the FMC if and when pivot points trigger bars form and they meet my criteria and the market is giving a green light. So Celsius, what I think is interesting is it's displaying a lot of relative strength. I'll show you, say, the weekly chart here as well. You can see this potential big cup and handle type pattern forming, really nice. Stock has a history of being able to run and run well, which is good. Monthly chart, harder to see, but potential cup and handle forming, really strong RS lines. So we've got this cup and handle forming, which is one of the most reliable accumulation bases you can see. And then what I think is interesting is we have 3 high quality growth funds have all initiated a position in Q3 of 2022, which is the most recently reported quarter. So okay, we have a stock that is displaying tremendous relative strength, potentially building a cup and handle type pattern, and we have the higher quality growth funds, what I would think about the smarter money in the market, initiating positions. They're only doing that for one reason. So I think this is very interesting. I think Celsius is very interesting. There's not really a product like it either. So I'm looking for Celsius this week. As I said, all those points about the FMC to just tighten up, get nice and tight on the 10 EMA, maybe the 21 EMA catches up if this handle goes sideways for another couple of weeks, but around 120 high kind of teens area, 117 to 120 is where I'm looking for a pivot point to form. CPRX, let's load this one up. So on the daily chart, potential cup and handle type pattern. You've got to have a little bit of an imagination with this one, but it's pulling back into the 1021 EMA. Volume starting to subside. Volume subside in this pullback in here in the base. The stock has a history of being able to run well. An area where I am seeing strength in the market is healthcare, biotech, and also semiconductors. There's a semiconductor stock I'm gonna be showing you. Some of the solar names have come under pressure. We'll see if they can recover. And then there's the odd tech stock, the odd kind of Celsius chucked in there as well, but it's predominantly healthcare, biotech, and also some semiconductor stocks, oil and gas, commodity stocks, a little bit hit and miss all over the place. Seeing some breakdown action there, but yeah, interesting. CPRX, if it can tighten up. DE, this one's been around for a little while, but positive reaction to the most recent earnings and now starting to form. It's holding up really well. Potential Darvis box forming here underneath $450. Volume is beginning to dry up. Good earnings, good sales, very good estimates coming through. Institutions love this when year over year the earnings per share is just ticking up with the forward guidance up. So I don't think this is going to be a really quick mover by any stretch of the imagination, but you could be looking at this as a positive reaction to the most recent earnings, building a Darvis box in here, and then in the context of a larger cup and handle type pattern. So this could be the handle we see forming. Now ideally for a slower lane like this, I wouldn't like to be buying just off the 10 EMA. I would like to see this green line here, the 21 EMA, playing catch up. So another week or so, maybe 2 weeks in there, we'll obviously see how the stock kind of gets on, holds up. Well, on the back of the FMC, we want to see if there's a positive reaction overall, if there's a negative reaction, is volatility spiking, is the dollar pushing back up, or is the dollar continuing to make on a short-term basis a series of lower lows and lower highs. So a lot going on this week, but there are some stocks potentially there, but as I said, I'm also looking after the FMC. So Enphase Energy is a stock I'm already long and free rolled. On daily chart, continues to try and build out this cup and handle type pattern, showing good relative strength. Fidelity increasing their position in the most recently reported quarter. Triple digit earnings, high sales there, margins look pretty good as well. So this one, for me to now add back to my position, so I free rolled it by selling 1/3 of the position at 2 times when my stop loss is. I would like to see it just go sideways, potentially a little bit more, get nice and tight around the 1021 EMA, trigger bar coming through, then potentially add to it. But I think in terms of some stocks that I'm actually excited about, Enphase Energy, Celsius ticking a lot of those boxes from kind of a CANSLIM perspective. Enphase Energy, I like the causality points. I'm a believer in the law of cause and effect. Still potentially building out this very big weekly base, has a history of being able to run well. If you haven't watched Tony Seber's videos on energy disruption, you can search it, find his YouTube channel, really, really good. Enphase Energy showing a lot of relative strength. Energy Solar, number 2 ranked industry group, ticks many of the CANSLIM boxes as well. So Enphase Energy, fairly excited about that. And you can just see the size of some of these bases. So this is the kind of cause and effect relationship point. When these stocks like this are building some really nice looking bases, whether it be big VCPs, big cup and handles, they're going to kind of be the most common bases, or kind of a phase 1 base, just a big old Darvis base. So that could be a large Wyckoff reaccumulation base or an initial phase 1 base. I get really excited by that, especially when it's in the context of a bear market. And then take a look at these RS lines. So Celsius, Enphase Energy, TMDX is one that I'm also fairly excited about. This is a stock that I'm long at the time of filming, high quality growth fund coming in. This is not in the IBD 50 list, but take a look at these RS lines. These are the kind of stocks I want to be dialed into. So let's get back onto what I was blabbering on about. GWW is the next one. So continuing to potentially build out this cup and handle. So there's the cup, there's the handle. What I like to look for, just a little nuance, as you come up and out at the base of a potential cup. And again, Bayesian way of thinking, update your decision making process as new information becomes available. You see the power coming through, and there's actually in the middle of this a positive reaction to the earnings. Closes on the high, good volume coming through, earnings plus 46, sales up, margins accelerating versus the prior quarter as well. So potential pivot point forming around $600. Prices pull back into the 1021 EMA, a little shake out there, nice recovery, volumes beginning to dry up a little bit, but would like to see further tightness and a trigger bar develop in the high 500s under $600. That's one that I'm looking at. Fidelity moving in there in the most recently reported quarter. They usually do not buy for a single quarter, they are adding in subsequent quarters. So we'll see. And again, potential cup and handle, which is one of the most reliable accumulation bases. Steady Eddie with the earnings per share. Institutions love that. Couple more. So the last two are semiconductor related stocks. So first one here is LSCC. So potential phase 1 base. So this is what I was talking about. Cup and handles, VCPs, all potential phase 1 bases after a phase 4 decline. So you see, this is a phase 4 decline. This is kind of Wyckoff price cycle, Stan Weinstein price cycle, depends which kind of way you were schooled. But a phase 1 base potentially starting to transition out. And commonly, as you break out of these phase 1 bases, what chart pattern do you see? I see a cup and handle. Now clearly on a short-term basis extended, but it's the same point I was just making with GWW. Do you see, as you potentially come up and out at the right-hand side of this cup and handle, see kind of the change of character? I know it's subtle, sounds a little bit voodoo hoodoo, but it's all in the chart. See this? Here you have these bullish synchronicity candlesticks, gapping up, pushing up, wide spreads, closing on the high. Look at the volume coming through as well, really good. Earnings up 71%, sales plus at 31%, margins plus 38%, so an acceleration in the margins, 32, 35, 36, 38. Nice to see some higher quality growth funds initiating and or increasing positions in the most recently reported quarter. Estimates look good, forward guidance up. So obviously short-term basis extended, but it's building higher lows. So I'm now looking for this to pull in around the low 70s. Ideally it goes sideways for another week or two, we'll see, but I'd like the 21 EMA to be there, but certainly the 10 EMA is there. So this one is potentially interesting, as it maybe looks to come out of this phase 1 base, quasi cup and handle as well. So that looks interesting, and it's kind of a pocket of strength as well. Before I show you OM, here's some other semiconductor stocks which aren't on the IBD 50 list, but this is ASML. So you see this potential cup and handle forming here, nice kind of Darvis box action going on in the handle, and it comes after this clear phase 4 decline, but now starting to move sideways. Potential phase 1 base. You've got RMBS as well, another strong semiconductor stock. Okay, a little bit of a slower mover, but positive reaction to the earnings, now building this potential flag type pattern. So semiconductors are just an area where I'm seeing some strength. I'm showing you two here, showing you some other ones there as well. GFS, let me do GFS as well. We're going overtime on this one, but GFS potential IPO base that's forming. So this is more kind of classic phase 1 accumulation base, but in the latter part, what chart pattern do you potentially see developing? See this cup and handle, pulls back down, undercuts the 21 EMA and 10 EMA, now starting to recover, volume drying up, triple digit earnings coming through for the last 4 quarters in a row. Can this just set potentially a low pivot point? So GFS, another kind of one in the semiconductor space. I just think there's a little pocket of strength potentially developing here for some of the semiconductors, not all, some of them. So let's go in and finish off with On Semiconductor, which is the last one. So you got 3 high quality growth funds, 2 of which have been increasing their position significantly, I'd say, in the most recently reported quarters. And we can see here potential large base developing, lots of relative strength, which is great to see on this stock. And what chart pattern do you see potentially? See this cup and handle? You've got to train your eyes to it. See this cup and handle developing. Now still a little bit choppy, isn't it? You can see it kind of chopping around here, but the 10's there, the 21 is there as well. So can this just tighten up in the low 70s for a low pivot? That is what I'm looking for. But again, as I said, we're moving in to the FOMC on the 14th of December. That's likely to create a lot of volatility there. So I'm really looking at these for the back end of this week. Would like to get the FOMC out of the way, see the overall reaction. Do we see a lot of stocks acting very well afterwards? Do we not see them acting well? Do we see volatility spiking? Do we see the volatility dropping? Do we see the dollar dropping as well? Do we see bullish synchronicity coming through in the major indexes? A lot of sector ETFs reclaiming their key moving averages. So again, we're going to know a lot at the back end of Wednesday's session. But certainly some stocks on my radar which tip many of the CANSLIM boxes, but still a difficult market, still a hostile market. So taking it very easy at the minute from an exposure standpoint. So that's it, guys. I will wrap it up there. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next one.